Hi, and welcome to the Kubernetes podcast from Google. I'm your host, Abdel Seguiwach.
And I'm Kaslin Fields.
In this episode, we bring you with us to KubeCon EU 2023. We asked attendees about their impressions of the conference, and this is what they had to say.
But first, let's get to the news. Kubernetes SIG infrastructure announced that they are starting to migrate some CI jobs to AWS Elastic Kubernetes Service. The community received cloud credits from AWS last year and spent a couple of months extensively testing Prow, the Kubernetes CI/CD tool, on EKS. The team is confident that the system is production ready and work is underway to move some jobs over to Amazon Web Services.
Kubernetes 1.26 is now generally available on GKE. GKE customers can now take advantage of the many new features in this exciting release. This release continues Google Cloud's goal of making Kubernetes releases available to Google customers within 30 days of the Kubernetes OSS release.
Craig McLuckie, one of the co-creators of Kubernetes, and Luke Hines, the founder of the SigStore project, raised $17.5 million for their new startup, StackLock. The company aims to build tools and services that focus on software supply chain security.
Kubernetes SIG testing updated their end-to-end testing best practices. Patrick Oley from Intel gave an interesting talk about the new changes in the testing framework at KubeCon EU 2023. The link to the talk is in the show notes.
Knative, the open source solution for building serverless and event-driven applications in Kubernetes environments, announced the release of version 1.10. The release brings a number of improvements to the core Knative serving and eventing components, and several improvements to specific plugins. A link to more information is in the show notes.
KubeDay Israel published the agenda for the conference. The event will take place this year on June 19 in Tel Aviv. This is the second KubeDay organized by the CNCF after Japan in 2022. KubeDays, not to be confused with Kubernetes Community Days, which are typically run by local communities, are a new event series hosted by the CNCF and targeted towards specific geographical regions experiencing community expansion and interest.
And that's the news.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Kubernetes podcast by Google. I am your host, Abdel Seguiwach, live from KubeCon EU 2023, and I am here with
Adnan Hadzik. We're Hodges. First of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Of course.
I work as a lead site reliability at ING as part of public cloud team, as part of a data analytics platform here in Amsterdam.
Anisoara, and I'm a DevOps engineer.
Dominique Top. I'm a solutions architect at GitLab. Long-time friend.
Yes. I remember I gave you a t-shirt a few years back.
You did give me a t-shirt a few years back.
Do you still have it?
I do, but I don't fit in it anymore because post-COVID I've got a little bit of a...
We all did.
a couple of COVID kilos. I still need to get rid of.
A bigger t-shirt.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Sounds good.
Yeah, I have a bigger one. That would be helpful.
Excel Ruiz.
What do you do?
Developer advocate and senior software developer at JFrog.
Hi, I'm Leon. I'm a developer advocate with Loft Labs, and we provide building blocks for platform engineers.
I'm Livia, and I'm from Alut, which is a furniture company. I work in Barcelona, but my company is originally from Austria.
Marga Manterola, Director of Engineering at Isovalent.
Mark Mandel, Tech Lead for Developer Relations for Gaming at Google Cloud.
Peter O'Neill from Styra.
Whitney Lee. I'm a developer advocate at VMware.
Zoe Steinkamp.
What do you do, Zoe?
I am a developer advocate at Influx Data.
What are you hoping to get out of this conference?
I was getting to get a lot of answers, not only for us, what we could build as a platform, but what whole ING could benefit from, either from Kubernetes or using other solutions. And I got all my answers so far. So really have a whole big to-do list that I want to talk to other teams, not just what I brought for my team, but also for other teams, so we can collaborate more and that we can be more effective.
Awesome.
To find out more about Kubernetes ecosystem and VCNCF projects.
So first and foremost, I'm here on holiday. Me and my partner and one of my best friends, we always go to KubeCon just for the conference.
For fun?
So yeah, the companies I have worked for usually have a booth, but I'm just here to enjoy the talks, see some friends, people across the world I haven't seen in ages, learn new things, see what's going on, like all the new things that have been released in the CNCF landscape and Kubernetes and all that kind of good stuff.
Nice.
Okay, so many things. First of all and foremost is networking, because after so long without having face-to-face activities. Being in this huge conference, because the sheer amount of people that is here, it's amazing. So networking, go back to talk to people, listen to interesting conversations, be inspired, try new things, like review what is happening, and you see a lot of collaborations and new things between different projects.
Meeting people mainly, like really hanging out with all the lovely folks, and learning about new technologies, especially the open source projects or what's going on with the community.
I was actually hoping to understand more of this cloud world, because in fact my position is a product manager, product owner, and I haven't been doing this cloud thing up until now. I was just a product person with feature related teams, and now my team is called the cloud engineering team. And I really want to understand them better because I need to help them in a way.
Oh, I didn't have very high hopes because I'm not like a huge fan of KubeCon. I find like it's like too big of an event for me. But yeah, I was mostly looking forward to having some interesting conversations. And I also had a presentation, so I was looking forward for my talk going well.
How did it go?
It went fine. Yeah.
So, do you prefer Cloud Native Rejects?
I do actually prefer Cloud Native Rejects because it's a smaller event where you have more of a chance to talk to people.
I want to learn about new stuff that I don't normally have the time to look at. So I've been hanging out a lot at some WASM stuff as well as a bunch of eBPF stuff.
I was hoping to reconnect with a lot of the people that I've met at previous KubeCons and try to deepen those relationships with them.
I had a very ambitious talk with Victor Farsik, and honestly, what I was hoping for was to not crash and burn.
All right.
Yeah.
How did it go?
It was amazing. I guess with big risk comes big reward.
What I'm hoping to get out of this conference is I'm hoping to meet people who are looking not only for time series solutions for my company, but I also want to hear about some of the new things that are coming out in the Kubernetes, not only ecosystem, but sphere in general. And I just love learning about the new technologies that people are presenting here.
What big trends are you seeing so far?
AI for sure. So AI is a big thing. So that's what I noticed. I also think Kubernetes is gaining traction. I think cloud is also now becoming more prevalent, although everything is happening with it's a weird market, let's put it that way. Weird things are happening in the world, because I was talking about this recently at internal events, and for example, how AI and cloud would go very hand in hand. So if we were evaluating some of those options, that we should probably go the cloud way.
Awesome.
A lot of CERN people.
A lot of certain people.
Yes. Yes. Like I was looking at the schedule, and they're like for like presentations for keynotes or something, and they're like CERN. It's a lot.
That's interesting. It's interesting that Kubernetes is coming in the academic space, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I was also at the presentation for the Blue Brain project. It was interesting, but also yes, academics.
Okay, cool.
That's a very good question. I mean, everybody's talking about ChatGPT. Almost everyone has even mentioned it or wanting to. It has been a massive buzzword. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not. I have opinions about AI, but
everybody does, right?
Everybody. Let's not make it into a ChatGPT talk. But AI is definitely emerging. Every single time I'm here, there's a lot of focus on security automation, I feel like, and also on the networking side of things. I saw a really good talk from Matt and Francesco earlier about the cloud native incident response. Rather than having the security incident response, they're proposing something a bit more from a cloud native perspective. That was quite cool. Yeah, again, like lots of shift left stuff,
Well, security. I see a lot of people asking questions about security, and not only that, they are vendors, projects are taking security more into account. Before, it was something that you thought like, let's review if what we have or what we are producing, it's acceptable. Now it's like, no. Even before we start creating things, we need to know that we are doing the best practices, or we even certify or check that our building blocks are okay.
Definitely platform engineering. I feel like that's the hot topic for this KubeCon specifically. There's a lot of buzz around eBPF, service mesh, so that's super exciting. And I saw like 2 ChatGPT startups around here as well.
Because why not?
I think I've never seen a technology get adopted so quickly, like ChatGPT or chatbots. So I am very intrigued about like all the use cases that we're trying to find. I will give it a couple of months maybe to see like what actually makes it across the chasm.
Nice.
Trends, like I noticed that there are so many platforms trying to help startups. Some of them more vocal, some of them less vocal. And I noticed, like just a joke, everyone has now socks instead of t-shirts. There's so many socks in the conference. I've already had like 3 pairs myself.
I mean, conference socks are the best.
I guess I did notice a lot of people talking about simplifying stuff. Yeah, I think I already noticed that last year, but maybe this year it's even more present. Like when you look at the sponsors, most of the messaging that the sponsors give are around making things simple.
Yeah.
And I agree that we should make things simple, but perhaps we should make them simple at the core rather than relying on vendors to make them simple for us.
Interesting, okay. So I can assume you're not a big fan of platform engineering as a concept?
Oh, well, I mean, sure. No, I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
But I would like the work that platform engineers do to be simple and that let them have time to do more interesting work and not busy work.
That's a very interesting discussion. I've been having a conversation with Kelsey Hightower yesterday about this, about the fact that we want people to spend time on high-value work rather than complex work.
Exactly,
Awesome.
exactly.
There's a lot of different trends. I think it depends on what you're looking for.
Okay.
I am definitely seeing a lot of ePPF stuff, but I'm also looking for a lot of ePPF stuff, especially around the continuous profiling aspect, and that's something I'm getting really excited about.
Nice. Is that part of the work you're doing with Agonis and the gaming stuff?
Yes, I mean, I think it's more broadly generally usable, but also yes, with the gaming stuff, I've seen some stuff where people are doing continuous profiling of their game server workloads, which are usually highly compute optimized and very compute heavy, and being able to do that in production live constantly with low overhead is super useful.
This year I saw a lot of trends where people are trying to introduce policy into the tools that they're using. So they're trying to integrate tools like Open Policy Agent into their tools so they can add more granularity into their authorization.
Here's my story is that I'm a pretty new learner.
Okay.
So I'm maybe still getting my feel for the landscape period as opposed to being in touch with trends.
Okay.
And I'm also really feeling like meeting people and kindness and building community is where my focus is as opposed to tech trends. So of course, the platform thing that everyone's talking about. Of course, I hear a lot of eBPF, even though I don't know what it is yet. Although I learned a little bit in Kaslin's talk today.
I don't think no one knows what it is.
That makes me feel better.
Yeah, I still don't know what it is.
It's funny as a new person, you feel like you kind of assume that everyone knows everything that you don't know. And then once you get in a little bit, you realize, oh yeah, most people don't know most things.
Exactly.
I'm seeing a lot of trends about monitoring. A lot of people are starting to really ask the questions about how do I monitor appropriately? I have all this data, I have all these random people telling me all these random things I need to watch, but they really just want a straightforward path. They just want a straightforward answer, and they just want to make sure that they're doing the best not only for their jobs and themselves, but their companies. People are tired of the fire hailstorm that happens when things go wrong, and they just want things to be more calm at their companies in general. Awesome. No SRE team wants to have an on-call every single day, you know?
Of course. What is your favorite thing you have learned so far?
Well, I learned it was on pre-KubeCon event at the Google office.
Okay.
I learned some cool things, for example, that were happening on with Antos. So that was a big finding for me. Okay. But it's the third day, so I need to recompile. Yeah, I need to process everything that happened.
All right.
But there's a lot of things that I learned, so
awesome.
I need to process it.
Awesome.
So I learned there was this workshop kind of training that was choose your own adventure, and it was find out more about what projects you can use for different purposes, and I loved that. It was an introduction to all the stuff that you can use at different steps, and I loved that.
Okay.
Usually the pre-fun is always that hype. So, where am I going to go to? Which parties am I going to attend? Who am I going to see? Trying to meet up with people. I've been saying this to a bunch of people, but the talk from Joe Irving, who works at PlayStation, that was really cool. That was one of my favorite talks so far. It's like running a real-time game server using that tool, Agoler.
Agones?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's a Google project.
Yeah. So he was. Yes. So he was talking about that and like how that kind of works. I thought that was massively interesting, mostly because like when you're playing a video game and like, you know, trying to load into the same game with a bunch of people and then
the matchmaking thing.
Yeah, like knowing the technology behind it and like how it's being improved using a Kubernetes-based game server software, which is kind of like, okay, this is kind of cool. So
especially if you're a gamer, right?
Yeah. I have a lot more respect for the devs now. It's like every time I'm being kicked out of the server, it's like, oh damn it! Like a bit of hug ups for the engineers on the backside.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people with Agonis t-shirts, and there are actually a lot of gaming focused talks at this conference. It's one of the new things I think this year that I haven't seen before at KubeCon.
I think you're right. There's another talk from like Ubisoft, I think. And yeah. So that's a. Cool. I think that's an interesting development.
I mean, every year there is always a trend.
Yeah, there is.
So last year was ABPF.
Yeah.
And at some point it was like some sort of FinOps was a big one, I think, 2 years ago. So I think maybe this year is probably gaming, WASM, and the security stuff, right?
Yes, exactly. Now, WASM has been a trend for a while now. There's always like a little niche corner go like, but WASM this and that, you know, so.
Everybody wants to do WASM these days, right? Right.
Favorite things so far? Oh my God, let me see. I like the exhibition hall because it's actually a really good place where you can talk to people, see what the vendors are doing. The sessions at the meeting rooms have also been really, really interesting. There's different things happening even in the exhibition hall. You have like panels, you have interviews, so you can go and walk and still listen to the speakers having a different kind of conversations with the attendees. So a lot of things are happening here.
I learned a lot about GitOps because I've been working with the Tag App Delivery and I've been hanging out at their booth a lot, and they had a couple of lightning talks about app delivery and how to manage the lifecycle. So that was super cool, but I'm gonna be honest, I have seen like 2 lightning talks so far because
they're gonna be on YouTube.
It's just like busy, and I'm not here for the talks mainly. I'm really here just to hang out with people and to learn from them in conversations.
Actually, I learned that it's not that complicated because I attended a lot of the talks, like today less, but in the previous 2 days, a lot of them. And it's, opened my taste to actually go myself online and understand even more. So it's been like an eye opener or a stomach opener. I don't know how to say it.
Eye opening experience.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's neither cloud native nor Kubernetes specific. I would say that the most valuable resource that we have is our time, and then choosing how and with whom we spend our time is like the most important choice in our life.
That's very wise.
The coolest thing I've learned so far is the talk that was given by PlayStation talking about how they're using Agones, because I work on Agones and
that was cool.
PlayStation is using it, and that is cool, so I can't complain.
Nice.
My favorite thing, oh man, that's such an interesting question. And I think probably my favorite thing is just how much the community is expanding. Even in the short time that I've been in the CNCF, it's just gotten so big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I did some booth duty yesterday, and I actually worked the Build Packs booth.
Okay.
And so there are maintainers at the Build Packs booth, and I know Build Packs at a 101 level.
Okay.
I talk about them a little bit in my talk, but I don't really get in deep with them. I know some things about containers and not a ton. And coming back to you kind of assume everyone knows everything that you don't know.
Yeah.
So going into booth duty at the Build Packs booth, I was feeling very afraid.
Okay.
I wouldn't be adequate, but at least I knew there'd be maintainers next to me.
Yeah.
And then after a little bit of time, at first I was kind of shy, hanging in the back, and then after a little time I was like, yeah, okay, I know this stuff. And then by the end I was power posing in the front, come on.
You were an expert.
Yeah, talk to me about Build Packs, let's do this.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I was having so much fun. Yeah.
Awesome.
So as somebody who's working the booth here, it's been a lot of fun in that a lot of people have come by to tell me their favorite booth swag and their favorite Lego sets that they can win here. I swear people are going shopping for Lego sets here. There's a few booths right now who are running what's the word? Not quite a bet, but a gamble on like what is going to be the most popular Lego set that gets the most amount of people in front of it. Nice. It's just a fun thing to talk about when you're at this event, which obviously, it's serious. We're talking about Kubernetes, we're talking about all this fun tech stuff, but it's hilarious to talk about the Lego sets everywhere.
I love Lego. I mean, swag is a part of why you go for a conference, right?
It's definitely a thing where like people love the swag here. They want the socks, they want the Legos, and as a booth person, you kind of have to take it in stride, and you're like, yeah, I'm somewhat here to give away stickers and socks, but also like, let's talk about the Legos, guys, because there's some ridiculously expensive, nice ones here, so that's also why we're talking about it.
Yeah, there are a lot of companies willing to spend money on this stuff.
What would you like to see at a future KubeCon?
I would like to see that more attendees, for example. So I had a problem where for my talk, not everybody could even get into the talk, which I found out about later, because initially I was like, everyone was there, but then we were trying to get in. So that would be good, because I think it's a growing community, right?
Yeah.
So I think more people want to get involved. I would just like to see more people get engaged, and also how we, as participants, what I did last night, I was standing in a line for a beer, and while I'm waiting with some random person, I said, while we're waiting, why don't we just meet each other, right?
Yeah.
And we started talking, and you get to meet a person, and it's a whole new thing.
Yeah.
So I think that would be nice, that I would like to see just for KubeCon to keep growing, which it will, it's inevitable, right?
Of course, yeah.
But just so more people get to experience it.
Well, they have announced that Paris, they're expecting it to be bigger than Amsterdam.
Yeah.
And this is the biggest edition in Europe so far.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it.
I'm also definitely looking forward to Paris.
There's more swag diversity. There's too many t-shirts.
Okay. You want to see less t-shirts?
Yeah, like more swag diversity. Like, I don't know, something else besides t-shirts. It's too many t-shirts.
Okay, something else besides t-shirts.
So my usual response would be a dedicated karaoke event, or like a karaoke event.
Oh.
But there was one this year, organized by Liane and a bunch of other people.
Yes.
However, and this is something that I'm being very bummed out about, I love singing and I love karaoke, and usually whenever I go to a conference, I'm mostly chief instigator when it comes to finding a karaoke place. Nice. So usually my response would be like an actual community organized proper karaoke thing.
Okay.
But I was so, like, my timings and my schedule last night didn't work the way it was planned, so I didn't actually make it, and I'm so upset about that.
Too sad.
So in that sense, like, I think the conference itself is always great. I feel like the talks are really, really interesting. I did actually struggle getting into some of them because there wasn't enough space.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I think in a sense of like, I feel like Kubernetes or like the KubeCons have been gradually improving. I feel like the sponsor area is always very considerate or intentional.
Yeah.
So, whereas other sort of trade shows, you get to conferences, you see like loads of companies like, why are you here? But I feel, all right, didn't expect this company to even feel like they needed to have a booth somewhere at a conference. But yeah, I feel like all of the stuff that I've seen so far from a sponsor perspective has been very interesting. I've seen a couple of demos where I was like, okay, this is, nice. Actually interesting to see if I can get my hands on that. And other stuff that I would like to see is, probably even more of a focus on more like the underrepresented groups sessions. Like there was like in the diversity lunch, I think, or an inclusivity lunch, but where was I for this? I think it was DockerCon or something. There are very, very specific like inclusivity groups that will meet up that they might have. I've not been invited to any of them this year, so if they are there, then maybe a bit more promotion for it. But like, it's always good to see or like try to hang out with people who look like me.
Yeah.
So it's always one of those things where I feel like that's always one of the things I'd like to see more of, basically.
Nice. So last year at KubeCon Detroit, we were interviewing people at the show, and we had somebody, I forgot the name, somebody saying there's always too much alcohol, it would be nice if we have boba tea. And the joke at the time was Sig Boba, right? So that's actually started at the show, at the Kubernetespodcast show, and it happened this year. There was like one on Tuesday, they did a boba tea party,
I saw it on Twitter,
So maybe this will be the beginning of Sig Karaoke next year?
Maybe. Sig karaoke. I think I can probably wrangle some people.
We want to have a history of kicking off efforts. That's what I'm trying to get.
All right, you heard it first, folks.
All right, sounds good.
I don't know. probably, and what are we missing is we have a lot of the projects, open source projects here, like, yes, part of the CNCF, etc., etc. And you can see that people are talking about them, but not actually coding on them around here. And you have the project leaders here.
Interesting.
So
more hands-on stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, well, they have the workshop yesterday, but I don't know how much.
No, but imagine that they are like have this like
hands-on lab type thing.
Coding.
Oh yeah.
Like, can you imagine they have this huge screen with the code and suddenly like keyboards, and then you decide like how we should do this, and having people like, yes, we should do this.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Imagine that.
Yeah, that would be great.
Like,
if somebody from the CNCF is listening to this is a good thing.
Yes, like honestly, and going through the entire workflow, check a PR, like open issue, select an open issue.
For contributors, yeah.
Yes, and they can
awesome.
totally plan one for this event.
Yeah, we were talking with Kathleen a few days ago about they stopped doing the workshops at the Contributor Summit. That's what they used to do actually before, which during the Contributor Summit, they would do a workshop where they would invite people to select their first issue and submit their first PR, but now it's an online training. But
you're losing the here, like let's show code on a very big screen.
All right, that sounds good. I think we should probably tell the CNCF to do it.
Yes, like imagine you have like a cube of televisions, big televisions around, like 2 stations. You have 2 keyboards in each station, and you have That
would be awesome.
And then the project lead walking around.
That would be awesome.
And answering questions.
Yeah.
What I would really love is, and this is something we discussed actually, to do like walking tour of the city where we just like eat little snacks everywhere.
Okay.
So just like, because I love food and I love to discover restaurants and like those hidden gems.
Yes.
So I think that would be super cool if we just had like food stands and we just like walk from one to the other. I don't know if that works for NA though, because in Europe everything's like super walkable usually.
Yes.
But North American cities not that much.
More companies from my country.
Okay, which is?
Romania.
All right.
I'm taking so many pictures and sending them home to my friends because they are really cloud enthusiasts. I would love them to be able to join next time. Not in the one in the States, but the one in Paris next year.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I guess I can say what I would like to see more is more community-driven work.
Okay.
Not so much sponsor-driven work, right? I mean, we rely on our sponsors to pay our salaries and to have money to do stuff, but I think it's really important that we foster the community and that we let the community lead rather than the vendors lead.
Awesome.
More people. I always like to see more people, but I can't complain. What are we, 10,000 odd people here?
Only.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing to see the community that forms around open source communities, and always more people is generally better, and so having more people involved. Although, if people are interested, if we wanted to do like an Aganes meetup at a KubeCon one year, if people are keen, drop me a line, let me know. Maybe that's something we could do one year.
All right, so we have a history in this podcast. We talk about things and they just happen.
Okay.
So last year we talked about boba tea, and there was a SIG boba tea this year.
That makes sense.
And then we talked earlier about karaoke.
Oh.
And we mentioned maybe there will be a SIG karaoke. So
yes.
Maybe now we're looking at SIG
karaoke. Aganes. I would also be down for like scones and jam and tea. Like if somebody wants to do that. Yes. Growing up with British parents. Like if we wanted to do that, I would definitely be down for that as well. So all of these things sound fantastic as far as I'm concerned.
Sounds good. We'll see how it goes.
I would love to see more interactive ways for contributors to get kind of hands-on with the individual like tools here. I feel like there's a lot of things we kind of explain and teach, but I wish that they had more things that you get physically hands-on with.
Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome.
Here's another thing I have to say about me.
Okay.
This is my 4th KubeCon ever.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm brand new. So I can say one thing that I loved about this KubeCon is the natural light in the expo hall.
Oh yeah.
I could be here all day.
The expo hall is awesome.
Yes, and really enjoy it because I felt more like I was outside or something. When it's super dark for a long time, I get pretty tweaked out by the end.
Yeah.
I feel like KubeCon is doing a really good job. Like, I don't have a ton of complaints about the way the conference is set up. I saw a lot of interesting talks that were going not only about Kubernetes, funny enough, but a few other technologies as well. And I think, in general, I'd like to see more, lightning type talks. Yeah, like I feel like there's not a good spot for that here. Like some of the booths have a space where they do lightning talks, but I would love it if there was a more open space where you could do lightning talks from not just people who are sponsoring, but also non-sponsors as well. Kind of like I've seen it at other conferences where it's like an open platform, an open hour almost, where I don't want to say random, but attendees and sponsors can come up for like 5 or 10 minutes and talk. And it's not necessarily pre-recorded, it's not written down, but it's just kind of like a free-for-all almost. I've seen it a lot at the DevOps days. They don't call it unconference, but they do call it like a free conference, or like they try to call it community conference almost, and it allows people who are working more on like open source projects or mini projects to kind of come up and be like, look at my mini project that I've done, or a company can be like, look at this very specific tool we built for it. That's awesome. But it wasn't something that we wanted to talk about for 30 minutes. It's not even something that's demoable sometimes at a booth, but it's fun to talk about regardless.
Awesome. All right, well, thank you very much for being with us.
Of course, it was a very, very fun interview.
Thank you.
That brings us to the end of another episode. If you enjoyed this show, please help us spread the word and tell a friend. If you have any feedback for us, you can find us on Twitter @KubernetesPod or reach us by email at kubernetespodcast@google.com. You can also check out the website at kubernetespodcast.com, where you will find transcripts and show notes and links to subscribe. Please consider rating us in your podcast player so you can help more people find and enjoy the show. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.